Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen nabiyyina Muhammadi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Having a few internet problems. Hopefully now we are good to go. Let me let my young man know we are good to go. Okay, so apologies slightly, as I said, having a few little internet issues, but it should have cleared up now, alhamdulillah. So we're going to go straight into the presentation because we've got quite a lot to cover. This is obviously week 2 of the presentation, which is going through the Hajj methodology, piece by piece, step by step. And it is obviously the 4th week of our Hajj Fiqhour special, inshallah. So let me just start the sharing of the screen window. Okay, what's going on here? Chrome tab, select tab to share window. Okay, that's strange. Where is your old? Oh, that's why, because I haven't got it there. So let me find it first. Okay, I've got it now. So let me go back on here, and let me go on here, and then let me go window, and then we go there and there. And now you should be able to see my screen, inshallah, that I'm sharing with you. So let's go into the so I'm assuming you can see this. If you can't, please do let me know. So we had got to this stage where we had just finished the circumambulation of the Kaaba, and we're now going to go to the Sa'i. Okay, so therefore, thereafter rather, before doing the Sa'i, you return to do istilam of the black stone, and then you exit, because the exit is kind of sort of parallel-ish with the extension of the direction of the black stone, and you climb Mount Safa. Now, when we say climb, obviously it's not huge. It's just a slight incline that you go onto Mount Safa, and you can face the Kaaba itself. So even though he says here face the Qibla, you can actually face the Kaaba. You can see the Kaaba, and you make your dua here, say the takbir, say the tahleel, send salutations upon the Prophet ﷺ, and raise both hands and ask for whatever you wish. It's a very rare place that you will get chance to make dua, so make the most of it. Then what you do is you walk towards Marwa, and you will rush between the 2 green markers. You can't miss them. They're there on the sides, at the top, on the bottom. And you rush as best as possible. Don't give yourself a heart attack. You're trying to just pick up your pace. And if you have women with you, then obviously bear that in mind, that you don't go too far ahead and then you're having to wait for them, because obviously it's not appropriate for a woman to be running. Maybe she can just pick her pace up a little bit. She keeps her arm within close to her torso as she picks up her pace a little bit, and that's it. Not necessarily requires her to run. And then when you reach there, you climb Mount Marwa. This time you will not be able to see the Kaaba, so you will face the approximate direction of the Kaaba. Qibla will suffice. And you will do exactly what you did at Safa, at Marwa. And then once you've done that, you will come down the other end. And again, you'll do the same thing of speeding up. And you will do 7 circuits in this way. So here we are. Point number 1 is we left the Kaaba. If you remember, we came through the gate until we got to Safa. Obviously, it shows little hills here, but there's no hills anymore. It's all tiles, and they're just a slight incline. There used to be a glass front here, which you could still see the mountainous part of Safa. I don't know if that's still there or not. I haven't been for a while now. So once you've climbed that, you then obviously go across. That's the green part that was mentioned, where you pick up your pace a little bit and you end up in Marwa. Then obviously you return the other way. It's a one-way traffic. On your second, do the same thing again. Third, back to Marwa. Fourth, back to Safa. Fifth, back to Marwa. Sixth, back to Safa. And 7th, back to Marwa. And you finish at Marwa. And then normally people exit out that way and go towards the barbers, whatever, in order to cut their hair, shave their heads, and come out of the ihram for Umrah, assuming they're doing Umrah. And it does say, and this is something to bear in mind, that you're running approximately half a kilometer here. If not running, you're walking half a kilometer here, which is considerable, right? And if you're doing 7 kilometers, then you do the maths. That's about 3.5 kilometers. And if you add the tawaf around the Kaaba as well, then you could easily be doing something around 7, 8, maybe 9 kilometers. And if you've been walking from the hotel and a little bit of extra walking, then potentially 10 kilometers. The point I'm making is that if you struggle to walk 10, 12 kilometers here in your hometown or home city on an average day with access to water, wearing comfortable footwear, then obviously it's considerably more challenging in a different climate, the weather, you've been traveling, you're tired, fatigue, dehydration, whatever. So be fit before you go there, so you don't have any nasty surprises. There's no point, even though there's little diagrams there of wheelchairs, but there's nobody pushing those chaps or chapesses in the wheelchairs. This is not here just so that you get pushed around in a wheelchair. You're not a child or something. You want to maximize your ibadah, and to maximize your ibadah is to do it physically. So initiation now, remember now, those people who were doing tamattu have done their umrah. Okay, now there you remain in Makkah in the state of ihram. Obviously, if you're doing ifrad, or you've just done that, and now you're waiting to go for the days of Hajj. If you're doing Qiran, you've done that as your umrah, and now you're waiting for the days of Hajj. And you can do whatever you like. In the meantime, the people who are doing tamattu, they've done their umrah and they've come out of their ihram. They're dressed normally. Everybody's waiting for the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. The Imam, or in this case, really that person who is your lead, that religious scholar that you took with you is your lead, will give a sermon and teach on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah. Obviously, Dhul Hijjah started last night, so we are now on the 1st of Dhul Hijjah. So there's 6 days to go before the Imam will get his people ready, or the Muallim, the teacher, will get those people ready. And also on the 9th, it will be an opportunity to teach. And also on the 11th will be an opportunity to teach. But really, for most people, unfortunately, because we're not very connected with our faith, we're not really connected with our deen, then what happens is that we should maximize every single day to connect with the ulama. So Yawm Tarwiyah, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, people will leave for Mina. Okay, so now people will travel out from Mecca. If you're already in ihram, you don't need to go in ihram. If you're doing Qiran, you're already in ihram. You don't need to go into ihram. If you're doing ifrad, Hajj only, you're not going to go into ihram. The only people who are going to go into ihram are those people who did tamattu. They've done their umrah. Now they're going for Hajj. So they will go change their clothes again, back into the 2 pieces of outfit, usual same rules, go pray 2 rakats nafal in the haram, and remove the hat, make the niyyah for Hajj. Okay, then depending on your buses and what transportation has been arranged for you, you will wait until you are transported. Everybody is transported from Mecca to Mina. Mina is the city of the tents, okay, and you will arrive there anytime. It will be after the morning, but it could be any time. Usually people get there for about sort of Dhuhr time, just after Dhuhr time, depending on what slot they've got, and you'll stay there till Fajr of Yawm Arafah, and you'll do your talbiyah and your takbir there. Mina is a place which I've already mentioned, is a place where you can take stock, rest a little bit. Don't be consuming too much food. Any food you consume should be high energy, low waste. If you're drinking water, just sips of water rather than drinking large volumes of water. You're keeping hydrated rather than quenching thirst beyond your imagination. And obviously, because you're sweating, try to get in maybe an electrolyte drink as well, so that you're replacing any lost salts that will be coming out in your sweat. Not a time to be spending long hours in nawafil. Preserve your energy, preserve your strength, do your dhikr, sat down, pray your ibadat, sat down, learn from the ulama. And then what will happen is, once you've stayed, there's no actual ritual act to perform in Mina. Hence the reason why I'm trying to get your energy built up for the next few days. You then leave Mina for Arafat. Now, Arafat is an open area. Okay, there are tents there. Mina now, where you can stay inside tents, so you get away out of the heat, the intense heat. All of it is mawqif, but this will be beyond most people's understanding. You're just going to go with the person who's leading you and let him follow the lead. When Dhuhr time starts, this is the Imam of Masjid Namira. Now, for most of you, if not for all of you, you will not go to Masjid Namira. You will stay with your group. Otherwise, you're going to get lost, right? You've got a few million people here, and everything looks the same. It's desert with tents, so you're going to easily get confused, and you're easily going to get lost, and there's no street names or directions or whatever, so you're not going to find your way back to your tent. You're going to get confused. You don't know the language. You're going to, it's not advisable. So, but if you were near Masjid Namira, which you won't be, so a bit academic, but I will share it anyway. The Imam will give a sermon similar to the one that's given on Friday, like Yani Khutbah. He will combine Zuhr and Asr, but we will not, because we will not be in Masjid Namira. So therefore, we will pray Zuhr in Zuhr time, Asr in its time, in the tent. And therefore, this is somewhat academic. The requisites for combining the Salah, as I've told you, is Jama in Ihram, and also one has to be in Masjid Namira, which we won't be. So therefore, we will pray individually. Then you go to the Mawqif, having done a Sunnah bath. You won't get a chance to really to do a bath. It is sufficient that you be present for a moment, any time from Zawal on Yawm Arafah up to the Fajr of Yawm Nahar, which is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. 10th of Dhul Hijjah is Eid day. So Yawm Arafah is the day before Eid. Bearing in mind, people get a little bit confused now. Thought I'd slide in the moon sighting issue, that people say, hold on a second here. How can you go and by local sighting when the 10th of Dhul Hijjah or the 9th of Dhul Hijjah is on such and such date, and the 10th of Dhul Hijjah is on such and such day, and the 10th of Dhul Hijjah follows the Yawm Arafah, and Yawm Arafah can only be in the Haram. Now, this is a misunderstanding. The Dhul Hijjah existed before Hajj became compulsory or Hajj was brought about. Hajj was brought about after Dhul Hijjah existed. So Dhul Hijjah already existed by a few years before Hajj season was made compulsory, and Hajj came after. So so the Prophet ﷺ, whilst in Medina, was obviously celebrating Eid, and he was starting the Hajj, which was done a year or so before he passed his time in Medina. In fact, that was at the end, on the age of 60, 61. Whereas Medina, he was starting the. So this is a misunderstanding that people have. For a moment, anytime from Zawal on Yawm Arafah, which is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, up to the Fajr of Yawm Nahar, which is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. This is irrespective if you're asleep, unconscious, carried, or whatever it was. Reason being is, you might think, what's the relevance of this? Is that if, say, God forbid, one of your relatives or somebody falls ill, has to be taken to the hospital, then you'll find that ambulances actually drive through Arafah, or a helicopter flies overhead. And the reason being is those people are unfortunately unconscious, ill, sick, and they cannot go to Arafah. But because their Hajj will not be complete, if you recall from last week's lecture rather, we discussed obviously that the fard of Hajj is the Yawm Arafah, being in the Mawqif of Arafah, being there. And if you don't go there, your Hajj is not done at all. Muzdalifah, then when the sun sets on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, so we're on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, we're going to go to Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah is an open area. There are no tents. Okay, it's open area. The sky is your canopy. The stars are your lights. And this is where you have to be a little bit careful in making sure that you've not had too much to eat, because access to facilities aren't that easy. And even if they are accessible, you may not necessarily want to go there. So therefore, you can imagine the number of people that are going in and out. So therefore, it is advisable that, as I said to you from Mina, that you're consuming high energy, low waste food and just keeping yourself hydrated. Muzdalifah is quite a challenging night because you may not get much sleep. There are people coming to Muzdalifah all night, and people talk, people make noises when they walk, people may walk around you, people may walk on you, and therefore getting some sleep is difficult, is challenging. So try your best, get as much sleep as you can. And if you can't, dhikr, waghaira, you know that you've prepped yourself for this evening, you've prepped yourself for this night, so you can then regain your energy, inshallah, in a couple of days' time. Here, you will combine your prayers, because you will not pray at Arafat. You will set off when the sun sets. You will not pray Maghrib along the way. You will wait till you get to Muzdalifah and you will pray Maghrib there. But because Maghrib has been delayed so much that now it is in Isha time, you will combine Maghrib and Isha together in Isha time. So you're basically praying Maghrib Qāḍī with one adhan and with one iqamah. If, however, for whatever silly reason you've prayed Maghrib early, you will repeat it, because this is against the Sunnah. So you will repeat it as long as the Fajr time has not started. Once the time for Fajr arrives, you pray your Fajr whilst the sky is still dark. Then you wait and you make dua. The only thing you're really doing here from a ritual perspective is you're collecting pebbles. When I say pebbles, I'm talking sort of sweet corn pea size, not sweet corn pea size, chickpea size. I don't know where sweet corn came from. Chickpea size pebbles you're picking up. And yes, you can pick up exactly 21 plus 7, so that's 49, which is very risky. Or you could pick, if you're going to stay an extra night in Mina, 70. However, I suggest you pick considerably more than that number in case you drop some, in case you lose some. Secondly, if you have vulnerable people with you, very young children that want to participate in this, the elderly that want to participate, or those that require support from an able-bodied adult, then what I would suggest is you take extra in case they drop them, because you cannot pick pebbles up from the Jamarat area, because you do not know if those are pebbles that have already been cast at the Jamarat, and you cannot use them. So you cannot then sort of leave your family or wherever you're with and start wandering off onto the road or onto the area looking for more pebbles. So therefore have extra. At the end of the day, if after the 3-4 days you've got extra pebbles, you can always leave them on the side of a road, but it's better than having extra than running out on that day. So Mina, when it becomes bright in Muzdalifah, remember we're spending the night in Muzdalifah, we've corrected the pebbles, okay, we're waiting now. That's all we've done in Muzdalifah is to wait. When obviously it starts to become bright in Muzdalifah, we now set off to go back to Mina. Mina, advantageous is it is next to the Jamarat, okay? It is not too far from the Jamarat. So when you get to Mina, the first thing you're going to do is Rami. Rami means to pelt, okay? And you're going to do Rami of Al-Jamara Al-Aqaba, the biggest of the three, which is within the valley. There's a slight valley that you'll see there. And you will cast 7 pebbles, saying takbir with every pebble throw or stone throw. You stop the talbiyah after the first throw, and then you slaughter, if you wish, in the case of performing ifrad, if you've done Hajj only. But in the case of Qiran and in the case of Tamattu, it is wajib to do so. Okay, so if it's ifrad, you've only come to perform Hajj, there is no requirement to perform the hadi, the slaughter of an animal. That's your choice if you wish to do so. But if you've performed tamattu, which is, like I said, 95% of the people, then it is a wajib. And obviously, if you've done Quran, it is wajib. Why? Because you've taken the opportunity, you've taken benefit of the opportunity to perform an umrah. So to show your great gratitude, to show your gratefulness, to show your thanks to Allah for giving you this opportunity, you're slaughtering an animal. And this is a little kind of abbreviation that I want you to memorize, which is Ranhat. Okay, Ranhat. So that's Rami, Nahar, Halq, Tawaf. Okay, Ranhat or Runhat, if that helps you. The only reason I'm saying Ranhat is because I'm using the Arabic words. But if you're going to struggle with the Arabic words, then Runhat. And what do we mean by Runhat is Rami for the R, meaning pelting first. Nahar, the animal is slaughtered. Halq, shaving the head. And Tawaf, which is the Tawaf Ziyarah. For the Ahnaf, this is wajib to maintain that order. You cannot bring one action before the other, or you cannot push one action after the other. They have to be sequential. Keeping the sequence is wajib. Therefore, be sure that the people who are catering for your needs understand that and they follow that, because that's your legal school's position, and it will become a problem for you from a perspective of having to give them. Okay, so Rami is done. Once the Rami is done, you will need to make sure now that whoever is organizing the slaughtering of the animal makes sure the animal is slaughtered. Once that is done, you can then cut your hair, but it's obviously preferable for men to shave their head. Obviously not for women. For women, they will cut their hair three sections and cut it a finger's amount, the length, about an inch or so. Then all restrictions of ihram are lifted. The person, clothes, he can scratch his beard till his heart's content. He can put his brand new itar that he paid 500 riyals for. He can do what he likes now. The only thing he can't do is engage in intimacy between husband and wife, because that can only be made legalized after Tawaf Ziyarah. And Tawaf Ziyarah is still left. Remember, Ranhat, like we said. So here's the process. Here's the process. As we mentioned, pilgrims enter Mecca day 1. perform tawaf around the Kaaba, perform the sa'i like we've done. They depart for Mina, the city of the tents, right? And then Mount Arafah, as we've said, overnight at Muzdalifah. So this is the 8th is day 1. Day 2 is the 9th. Day 3 is the 10th, which is Eid day. So stoning the Jamarat, the first one. Rami, the animal sacrifice. Nahar, the shaving of the head. Halq, the tawaf, as we know, tawaf, okay? And then he will return and to Mina and carrying on more pelting of the Jamarat, but now he'll be in his normal clothes and he'll spend the night in Mina. Here's another version of it. It's not going to add any more to it. You've got your tawaf, you're coming across here, Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah. I know it makes it out like there's little cabins, but that's not the case. Jamarat al-Aqaba, unless that's happened now, which I've not heard it has. Nahar, shaving, okay. And then you have your tahleel is done. Back in Makkah, tawaf is done, and the person is free, but then the 3 days of pelting. So what is tawaf ziyarah? This is the last act done, and this is also one of the fard of Hajj. We've already mentioned the Arafat as the fard of Hajj and Ihram as the fard of Hajj. This is what remains. Obviously, the wajibat we've already discussed, which is the sa'i and the tawaf. So then you perform tawaf ziyarah in any of the days from the Ayyamun Nahar. Normally, you'll be told to do that on the 10th. After you've done the pelting of the Jamarat al-Aqaba and the animal has been slaughtered, you will then be, and your head is shaved, you will then be told to do the tawaf ziyarah. You perform 7 circuits, which is the normal routine, this time without Ramal and Sa'i. If Sa'i had been done previously, which you remember we did at the beginning, then there's no need to do it. If you haven't done it, then you will be required to do it. The earliest time for tawaf ziyarah is after the Fajr of Yawmun Nahar. It is best to perform tawaf ziyarah on the Yawmun Nahar, which is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. It is best to perform tawaf ziyarah on Yawm al-Nahar. I don't know why I repeated that. Thereafter, the restriction against intimacy is lifted. And this is the issue which comes for women who have their menstrual cycles at that particular time. Reason being is now they've only got a day or 2 left in Makkah. They've done all the rites of Hajj. They can't perform tawaf ziyarah. They can't go into the masjid. They cannot do it because their menstrual cycle has started. So they are now stuck. Now, if they return back to the UK or anywhere else for that matter, then they cannot still engage in intimacy with their husband because that has not been removed from them. Okay, so they kind of stuck. And hence the reason why in a couple of the early videos, lectures, I've already explained to you what should happen there. I'm not going to explain it here because you need to watch the ones I do previously. If it is delayed beyond the Ayyam al-Nahar, it will be deemed makruh and the dam will be wajib. The Jamarat, after the Zawal of the second day of Yawm al-Nahar, this is now the 11th, pelted the biggest Jamarat. We've gone down, we've slaughtered the animal, we've had our head shaved, we've done the circumambulation, the tawaf ziyarah. Everything is done now, alhamdulillah. Now the only 2 things which remain is to pelt on the 11th and pelt on the 12th. If we stay after Maghrib on the 12th and the 13th night starts, then we have to stay in Mina for the 13th and pelt the day after. If we leave before Maghrib, then we don't need to do that. Okay, so 11th of Dhul Hijjah, you do Rami, but this time not just of Al-Jamra al-Aqaba, but of all 3. You start with the first Jamra, which is the smallest one, then the second Jamra, which is next to the first, and then Jamra al-Aqaba. You pelt each Jamra 7 times, which you should be used to by now, saying takbir with each pebble throw and do dua between each Jamarat facing the Qibla. Then the following day on the 12th, which is what I've already said, you do the same. Thereafter, on the 13th, you do the same if you remain in Mina. To remain is better, it's more rewarding. So take that opportunity. Don't be rushing back to your hotel. What did you come here for? To rush back to your hotel? You came here to do ritual acts of worship. So stay. Many people, unfortunately, leave before the 13th, and the Mina is virtually empty. The requirement for Rami on the 13th is dropped by leaving before Fajr of the 4th day. But if you leave early, then there's no requirement. Now you're finished, your time in Makkah is done, your Hajj is complete, may Allah accept it. You're now heading back to wherever, whether it's Medina, whether it's back to the UK, whatever it is, or whichever country you've come from. When you leave for Makkah, you descend upon Muhassab, then you perform Tawaf al-Sadr with 7 circuits without Ramal or Sa'i. You drink Zamzam, you place your face on Muntazam, not going to happen. You cling to the wall of the Kaaba, not going to happen unless very rare opportunity. You pray, you repent, and you cry, and then you leave reluctantly as you exit the masjid. Why? Because you may not see that place ever again. So miscellaneous masail, the rulings of a woman is the same as a man, except in the following instances. She will cover her head, as I mentioned at the time. Why? Because her head is an aura, and the head is not an aura for a man. But she will not cover her face. If she drapes anything over her face, then she must do so without it touching her face. And this is usually the cap that you have, which you can allow it to come off. She will not say talbiyah aloud. She will not do sa'i between the two green markers, as I've already described. She could maybe, pick up her pace very slightly, but she's not going to run. She will not shave, rather she will cut her hair. She will wear stitched clothing, and her hair cycle will not restrict her from any rites of Hajj except the tawaf. A person who has missed Hajj will still do the tawaf and sa'i and get out of the ihram, and then they will do qada, will be owed on them. Qiran, what we've kind of alluded to throughout the presentation today, is to intend and start your ihram for both Hajj and Umrah from the miqat combined. So you say, Allahumma inni uridu al-umrata wal-hajja fayassirhuma li. So you do tawaf for Umrah with 7 circuits, and you do Ramal on the first 3. Then you do sa'i, and thereafter you perform Hajj as described above. Okay, so that's already done. It is wajib upon a person performing to slaughter after Rami in Yawm al-Nahar, as I've already explained earlier. If unable to slaughter, which one should be able to slaughter, they fast 3 days, with the last fast being on 9th, and 7 days after Hajj, meaning after the Ayyam al-Tashriq, wherever they want. If unable to complete the first 3 fasts, them must be given. Tamattu is better than ifrad. This is what 90% or 95% of people will be doing, going into ihram for umrah, coming out of that ihram, going back into ihram for hajj, and then coming out of that ihram. Tamattu is better than ifrad. Tamattu is to intend ihram for umrah within the months of hajj, followed by a separate ihram for hajj. You do tawaf, sa'i, you shave or cut the hair, and then you stop talbiyah upon starting the tawaf. Then after that, you initiate ihram, so the time in between. So people have been countries. So I know relatives have arrived yesterday, tomorrow, and they will perform Umrah. Then the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is another 7 days away. It's going to be next week. So then they will stay in Makkah for 7 days, 6 days. They can do tawaf, they can pray salah, whatever. And then when the 8th comes, they go back into ihram, make the niyyah, and that's it. They will do the rest. Thereafter, perform Hajj like those doing ifrad. It is wajib upon a person performing tamattu to slaughter, and if unable to slaughter, fast like a person who performs Quran. In the case that ihram is initiated by steering an animal with you, which you will not take an animal with you, it is deemed preferable. Ihram will not be exited after Umrah, and thereafter perform Hajj as described above. That's if you brought an animal. The resident of Makkah will only do ifrad. Why? Why does he need to take benefit of his arrival in Makkah and do an Umrah as well? He lives in Makkah. He can do Umrah all year. So therefore, he can only do an ifrad. What is dam? Dam is compulsory if a person who is in ihram covers an entire limb by covering the limb with material, meaning his face or his head, that thing which should be uncovered, putting perfume on it or perfumed oil, wearing stitched clothing or covering the head, obviously for a man, for an entire daytime, 12 hours, or an entire nighttime, 12 hours. Similarly, if they shave a quarter of the head or an entire limb. Similarly, if they clip their nails of the hand or the feet. Similarly, if they perform a fard tawaf in the state or a non-farad tawaf in the state of janaba. Hadath is when you require wudu. Janaba is when you require ghusl. Similarly, if they leave before sunset from Arafat. Similarly, if they abandon a wajib or most of it. And similarly, if they advance a rite of Hajj over another. If you remember, the run, because you got to keep that consequential order. That it be done first. Similarly, if they delay the fard tawaf beyond the days of Nahar, and similarly, if they abandon the little amount required in the fard tawaf. So this is dam. Dam is the cost of a sheep, which is expensive. If you do something other than that, okay, if you do something other than that, which requires a penalty, then you're giving half a sa' as sadaqah. Half a sa' of sadaqah is around £4, 4 UK pounds sterling, which equates to probably around £4 or £5 rather, which equates to around 20 riyal approximately. So 20 riyal, most people should be giving sadaqah. Why? You're gonna definitely make some errors. Hopefully you're not gonna make the big ones. So I would give something away, 100 riyal, 200 riyal at the end of your Hajj and Umrah to the poor, so at least it covers your back. If you do less than that which was described earlier, performed a non-farad tawaf in the state of hadath, abandoned a little amount of wajib, or shaved or cut the hair of another person. If the dam was compulsory due to a valid reason, you slaughter a sheep in the haram area. You give 3 sa' of food as sadaqah to 6 people who are destitute, or you fast for. Intercourse before weight in Arafat will invalidate the Hajj. You still have to go through the process and go through the motions, but your Hajj has gone. Do qada. Intercourse after Arafat, sacrifice of a large animal, a camel, and camels are very expensive. Intercourse after halq, after you've shaved your head, will make the sacrifice of a sheep before you've done your tawaf. So, handily sells for 3-4 days. Alhamdulillah. Jaza, this is just very much academic, because this is not going to happen. You're not going to go hunting for animals of game. You may be going hunting for Pizza Hut and Bakes and Wendy's and all the rest of it, but you're not going to be going hunting antelope or something. So I'm not necessarily going to go cover into this at all for the sake of it. Basically, don't kill things for food. Similarly, the price must be as if a person who is halal slaughters or milks a game. Okay, again, we don't need to go through this. Sadaqah, even if it is a little, is wajib due to killing of lice or locusts. And nothing needs to be given if you kill a crow, a kite, a scorpion, a snake, a mouse, a flea, or a tick, a turtle, or a large pat on your back if you kill one of those. But they're the only animals that one is permitted to kill, and the reason being is that if they were to attack you, then their aim is to cause you damage. But I've never been attacked by a crow. I've never been attacked by a kite. Okay, maybe a scorpion is something that I would be a little bit frightened of if he came running at me. Possibly a snake, a mouse, and that's not really gonna get me worked up. Rabid dog, that would most likely get me worked up. Mosquitoes, yes, they can be a little bit annoying. Fleas, I guess you just scratch yourself. Similarly with a tick. A turtle, I don't know how fast turtles are, but I think I could outrun one. A large predator, okay, that's a different ball game altogether, but the chances of you squaring up to a large predator are pretty minimal. But it's just letting you know that if ever that situation came up, then you are permitted to kill without having to give any compensation. Other than that, do not touch anything. Okay, so the best thing is don't kill anything. If you can walk away from it. If there's a wasp that comes into your room, open your tent, open your window, let it fly out. Okay. And that brings the end of our slide sharing. And that brings us back to this video. Yeah, I apologize about this. The internet is playing up. I don't know why that is. I cannot solve that problem. I'm just going to pick up some questions that have come on here before we. So, question. I am performing Hajj Qiran and have started my Tawaf for Umrah. After completing the Tawaf of Umrah, can I perform Tawaf al-Qudum before doing the Sa'i of Umrah? Also, regarding the two Sa'is, Sa'i of Umrah and Sa'i of Hajj, can they both be done one after the other? For example, can I do Tawaf of Umrah with Ramal and Ittiba, then immediately do Tawaf al-Qudum, then Sa'i of Umrah? No. I won't say you must do the complete the Tawaf and then do the Sa'i of Umrah, then the Tawaf of Qudum, and then the Sa'i of Hajj. It's not necessarily that you have to. It is disliked and it is sinful to delay the Sa'i after the Tawaf. So if you're there for a good cause, then do it in the correct order. I was informed that Lucozade original drink isn't allowed due to it containing alcohol. Can you find out if this is allowed to be drank, as I'm planning on using this for Hajj as a source of energy? If you know something to contain alcohol, then you should avoid it. I understand that using mouthwash like Listerine is generally not allowed during Ihram due to its fragrance. However, if I develop a sore throat during Hajj and in Ihram and find that gargling with Listerine helps relieve the pain, would it be permissible to use it strictly for medicinal purposes and not for freshness or hygiene? I would still avoid it in those circumstances as well. I'm sure there is others that are available that will not be as strong smelling. Assalamu alaikum, respected Mufti. Wa alaikum salam. Hope you're well. Alhamdulillah. Pray likewise. I understand if you join the Jama'at is in Qiyam or Ruku, then after saying Takbir and raising hands, the hands should be folded first. Is this the same if the Imam is in a position after Ruku? And what is the correct method of joining? Yeah, so basically what you're doing is you're pausing for a split second in Qiyam before you're going into the position that Imam is in. And Qiyam is usually associated with the tying of the hands. So if memory serves me well, it is more appropriate for you to tie that hand for that second, equivalent to a tasbih, and then move into position. Assalamu alaikum. Quick question, Ma'zur for Maghrib Salah. He repeats his wudu for every Salah due to an udhr. With the 5 minutes extra added on top of the calculated sun time, can a Ma'zur person do his wudu a couple of minutes earlier? Example, Wifaqul Ulama, Maghrib time is 9:24. Can he start his wudu for Maghrib at 9:22? Yes, of course he can. He can start his wudu at 9:22 because by the time he finishes his wudu, it will be a couple of minutes at least, so that would suffice. Okay, that covers everything for today, inshallah. Let me just see what's on the ladies group, if there's been any questions that have come in. Salam, will we be notified when the Qurbani is complete? It depends who you do the Qurbani with. If you're doing the Qurbani with Olive Lantern Trust, then it will be complete after the Eid Salah of where the animal is. So your Qurban will be done, inshallah. If you're doing it with somebody else, then you need to ask them. That's that done. That's all those questions done. I don't think there are any others that I need to take a look at. Okay. So any questions on here before we part company? So we now have, as we're finishing off for today, we've now got one more session left, inshallah, of our Fiqhour Hajj series. And this last one, I know it's a little bit late, is on Dhul Hijjah. The reason why I say it's a little bit late, because it will be sort of the 7th of Dhul Hijjah when we're back on air. And obviously, most of the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are gone. And that's what it's going to be pretty much focused around. So what I will do whilst we're here for the few minutes is to say to you that these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, which started late last night, are highly rewarding and highly regarded by Islamic scripture. What we mean by highly rewarding is that you should, there are places like we've talked about Hajj in particular over the last 4 weeks, that places have a significance. They have a spiritual significance and they have a reward significance. And there's also time. So place and time have religious and rewarding significance. So like we know, Ramadan is a special period. The nights of Ramadan are particularly special as well. We have been told that these 10 days, including their nights, are very special. So we should try to do more good deeds in these 10 days. And of course, on the flip side of it, try to avoid doing naughty things. Try to avoid doing things which can become considered, firstly, as serious sins, but even the minor sins. And we should maybe take stock, take reflection, because we're going to go through a bit of a lull now. We enter into Ramadan. So we have Sha'ban. So we're a little bit focused in Sha'ban with our fasting, and the 15th of Sha'ban night comes through, and then we lead into Ramadan. Then we have a very busy spiritual productive period. Then we come out of Ramadan. Then we have Shawwal, but we have the 6 days of fasting in Shawwal. Again, we're a little bit engaged. Then Dhul Qa'dah comes along, and those of us who are planning to go for Umrah or for Hajj are making plans. The rest of us are talking about it. Then Dhul Hijjah starts. We get the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So really, Sha'ban, Sha'ban, Ramadan, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, these 5 months, we get a lot of spiritual energy. And then as soon as we get out of the Ayyam al-Tashriq, okay, then we unfortunately start to slow down. Okay, we start to slow down. Talking about Ayyam al-Tashriq, obviously, from the 9th of Dhul Hijjah Fajr till the Asr on the 13th, the 23 salahs, you will need to be reciting after the Fard Salah audibly for men and inaudibly for women. So that's something for you to focus on as well. But returning back to our Ayyam al-Tashriq, returning back to the period of the year that we are at, is you want to maximize in this. But what you want to do is leave yourself in a situation where you can build on this as you go forward outside of Ramadan, outside of these 4 or 5 months, because the next 7-8 months is relatively quiet from an Islamic calendar perspective. And what happens is we kind of lose our way now. We're not getting the regular reminders, we're not engaging, and we fall into a bit of a lull. And unfortunately, we relapse. Like the way people who have addictions relapse. We're addicted to committing certain sins. So we relapse, we go back into that old mindset. And then we're sort of wandering blindly, doing the same things we've done before, losing our way, getting confused, not really understanding what life's all about, whatever, until we see kind of, get back into with, Shaban coming around the corner, and then we readdress our areas. We get motivated again. We're starting going to the masjid. We're engaging with lectures again. We're listening to the ulama teaching, and suddenly we're inspired again. And then we have that energy. So we need to make sure that energy is very much maintained throughout, rather than the fact that we just become, as I said, a little bit kind of switched off. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. So just in case, the takbir tashriq, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Okay, so that's what needs to be recited. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Just a singular time, wajib, after, and that will be on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, across to the 13th of Dhul Hijjah Asr time. So the 9th of Dhul Hijjah will be on the Thursday. Okay, 9th of Dhul Hijjah will be on the Thursday, if my calendar in my head is correct. So that will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, up to Asr time. Okay, so make a note of that. Ladies will say inaudibly. There's no need to say audibly. And gents will say audibly. Once will suffice. You don't need to scream. It just needs to be heard. And that's an extra activity. Obviously, those of you who are Qurban is wajib, then you need to obviously plan that in if you've not already planned it in. So at least that task gets done. And as I said, the Ayyam al-Tashriq is really the other time where you're benefiting from the Qurban. And I know there is an interest for people to do Qurbani in countries outside Udhiyah, in countries outside of the UK, or in countries outside of your residence. And that's an important thing. And I get that. And we do support that. But it's also a sunnah. It's an act that should be performed locally as well. So with most families, we have 2 or 3 adults in the houses who have sufficient money, in which obviously there will become Qurbani becomes wajib, Udhiyah becomes wajib. So you can do one locally and you can do one abroad, so that at least your responsibilities are covered, but also you engage in the practice. It's something for the children to see. It becomes something that gets cooked then in the house, something that you consume as well. And also obviously that meat which is then shared with anybody that you have abroad as well. So in that way you get the kind of best of both worlds. Okay, that brings us to the end. Next week, as I said to you, I know I did a little quick bit on Dhul Hijjah. Next week, it's going to be pretty much, the focus is going to be on Dhul Hijjah, inshallah. And we'll try to maximize the benefit of those last sort of few days. Please do get your other questions in that are associated with Hajj or Umrah, and we'll try to tackle them. If I feel that we need to tackle them earlier, then I will tackle them on the group rather than waiting for next week's Fiqh Hour. Otherwise, we will, inshallah, meet again for next week's Fiqh Hour on the 4th of June, same time, 6 p.m., with your questions and answers, and also particularly focusing on the area of the 10 days of the Hijjah. Jazakallah khairan again. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.